This color correction is probably one of the hardest color corrections I've ever had to deal with. This is Kat. She is coming to my salon for the very first time to get her hair done, and her mom actually found me on YouTube and watches my YouTube channel, so shout out to Mama. Thank you so much for sending her to me. But Kat has a challenge where her hair pulls extremely red and orange, as you guys can see, and it took me 2 processes of doing her color completely from roots to ends twice through to get her to this more neutral color. We are trying to get her hair more towards the ashy zone. We were joking that her hair just doesn't want to be ashy whatsoever. So I want to show you guys how I combat really resistant wanting to go red hair. So let's get started. So I am using 6NA in the Redken Shades Cream. So I'm going to do a whole tube of this with 10 volume because I really want it to saturate in her hair and deposit as much color as we can to cover up some of that brassy root area to kind of flow better with her natural root. And then of course I'm going to be using Olaplex in every formula that I use on her hair today because we want to make sure we are not compromising her hair. So first I'll be doing her base color, which is right here, and then I will be doing, because her ends are a little bit on the warm side, I'm just going to go through and start with an even palette of being kind of more of an ashy color. So I mixed up my Shades EQ Gloss 9T. I used about a quarter of that to 3/4 of clear because I don't want it to get too ashy. I just want to cut some of that warmth in the beginning so I can go through and balayage afterwards. And then I will be adding in 1/8 of Olaplex to this, and then I also added 1/8 of Olaplex to my base color. So with Kat sitting here, you guys can really see that super brassy band around her hair. She has her natural, then she has her brassy band, and then she has this lighter color. So what I'm doing is I am taking that 6NA and I am painting it onto her roots through that entire brassy band. Basically what I'm going to do is just do a regular color, just like putting on the color regularly how you would see of where I'm seeing that kind of brassy color. And this is, like I said, I had to end up doing her whole hair twice because even when I did this, it pulled up completely brassy. Even though I'm using a natural ash and 10 volume, her hair is crazy. So I went through and I just applied this to her roots. And then what I did is when I worked my way all the way down one side of her hair, so this entire panel, I just did it onto her roots and onto that orange thing like I said. And then when I actually go back down, I'm pulling her hair down and I am kind of feathering it through those orange places and bringing it down because she wanted to have a little bit of a melted or deeper root. So I was just pulling down this root area into that kind of brassy zone to help cancel out as much as we possibly could. Then I'm taking that mixture of my Shades EQ 9T and Clear Mix, and I am applying this from right where I applied her base color, and I'm going all the way from where that base color starts down to her ends. Now this can help to blend out your color, and if you guys are trying to go for an even canvas, this is also a really great way to start just by completely freshing roots to ends. Unfortunately, I wish I would have gone in with a little bit stronger of a color because her hair is ridiculously resistant. I probably could have just done 9T, straight 9T. And then what I'm going to do is just take this all over and make sure that you really rub and mush this in because you don't want any spots to pop out. Even saturation is key. So now you guys can see I have her root just melting into the gloss on her ends, and we're going to allow this to process for about 30 minutes. So this is what her hair ended up looking like. It still looks crazy brassy. I know, right? Sometimes when you're doing colors like this, especially when you've not done someone's hair before, it might take you a few times. So now I'm actually going to hop into lightening her end color up and seeing what we can do for that end color. So for her balayage pieces, I'm using Blonde Me because this is a 9-level lift and it lifts beautifully. And I'm using 30 volume because you have to bump up your developer with Olaplex. So it's going to be more like a 20. I'm mixing this thicker, like a much thicker consistency because I'm doing a balayage. And I did 3 scoops of lightener. So for every scoop of lightener for balayage, you're going to be mixing 1/8 of Olaplex. I'm just going to pour that in and then mix it all up. So to start her balayage, I'm working from her nape area up through the top of her crown and then onto the sides. I'm actually going to be freehand like balayaging all of this. I like to use a balayage board because it gives me stability and I can really make sure that I'm keeping this section nice and flat, and I can push the product onto the hair exactly where I want it. In some places I do just hold the strand by itself. It's completely up to you. You guys are, there's a bunch of different ways to do balayaging. This is just my favorite way. I see Guy Tang use this technique a lot, and it's just one of the easier ways to do balayaging. So I'm painting from about mid-shaft all the way down to the ends completely with the lightener, and then I'm pulling up onto the sides like in a V formation like you guys can see here. And then sometimes in some of my sections I also do a little strip down the center. This is for really natural, very sombre hair, so that we're not getting just the ombre look, but we're actually pulling up little pieces of brightness towards the roots. Again, I'm going to pull out a section and I'm going to place this on my balayage board and do the same thing where I apply the lightener from about the mid shaft, and then I paint that through the ends, and then I kind of bring it up into a V formation on the sides. I did the same technique all the way throughout Kat's hair, and then in the very top front pieces, I just put those in foil so they wouldn't be sitting right in her face and in her eyes. We left this on for about 45 minutes. We washed and toned her hair with Shades EQ 9T, 9B, and 9V. So after I did that, you guys can see that it did not budge whatsoever. Unfortunately, her hair pulled red even more than I could possibly imagine. So we had to do the process an entire second time. So we went in and we did a root color. I did the same exact technique. I pulled it out onto her base and feathered it out over that brassy line. I used Schwarzkopf, the Agora Royal, I think it's Agora collection or color line, and I used the 6-12 and 20 volume. This helped to cut the brass out and really make sure that it was more of a neutral brown. It's a really beautiful color for cutting brass, and we just lay that over the top of it and it did its magic. Then I went in, and as you guys can see, I filmed a little bit of it, that I actually went and balayaged her hair again because her ends did not budge. The color was really stuck in there and was having an extremely hard time to come out. So we were gonna go through and do the ends once again because I was not happy with it, she was not happy with it. So we went in and balayaged everything. This time I used the same formula. This time I put it in foils because it's going to capture the heat and just bump up that process a little bit more and pull some of that color out because of the heat. And I just watched it and checked it. I put her under the dryer for a little bit, and I put the dryer up a little bit higher so it wasn't all the way down on her, but it was just kind of right above her, and I allowed that to process. Then we rinsed out her hair and toned her hair with 9V by Redken Shades EQ, and then I did the Olaplex No. 2 treatment on it, and then on it, and then shampooed and conditioned, and then blew it out, and that's how we got this color. And cut out tons of that orange and red that we saw last time. I mean, you guys can see her base color all the way through her ends. It is just this beautiful kind of beigey with a tiny bit of honey in some places. And we are so, so happy with these results. It is about 7 o'clock at night right now, and as you guys can tell, I am in a different place. I am at my new house. I wanted to hop on though because after doing Kat's hair and everything that we went through, I kind of wanted to just pop in and talk about when it is really hard to do color corrections. Now, going through and doing Kat's hair was not what I would have expected. I thought, okay, I see brassiness in her hair, and I think it's going to pull red. She tells me it pulls red. I trust my clients and I listen to them, even though it's their first time, because that's what they notice, and that's the key to understanding what clients do like and what they don't like. So she showed me her picture, which is a very ashy base color and end color, and that was what we were trying to go for. So I go through and do the whole process as you guys saw, and there was little to no change in her hair color. And that's something that happens when you guys are working with hair. I love when Guy Tang says, when he's doing his like fashion colors, that this is a hair activity, like a paranormal activity in the hair, because it's so true. Most clients' hair are going to lift and be somewhat warm. It's a little bit natural undertone. When you're at a level like 5, 6, 7, you're going to run into red and orange undertones. Normally, they can be counteracted by using a ash base. For Kat, in her instance, her hair pulls red and laughs at the face of ashy hair color, and I had to go in a second time and redo her hair completely, from her base color to balayaging once again, a little bit stronger because her color would just not budge. So I wanted to share with you guys, especially for people who are new to doing hair or in cosmetology school, color corrections may not always turn out how you want, and sometimes it gets us very disappointed, or you get upset with yourself, or you're like, oh, what am I not doing right? Sometimes it's not about what you're not doing right, but kind of puzzle solving and game planning about hair. Now, we went in, like I said, and we did Kat's hair a second time, and it turned out beautiful. It's still a little on the warm side, but a huge difference from her before and after. I'll throw those up once again so you guys can see the before and after. It's a major difference. Now, when you look at her before, you're thinking, okay, yeah, that's brassy, but it's not like some of those crazy color corrections that I've seen from like people with black roots and cheetah print spots and hot spots and all that stuff. But it doesn't matter if it looks super crazy or not. To me, her hair was like really brassy. But it didn't look like it was going to give me as much trouble. So I just want to encourage you guys, when you guys are doing clients' hair, whether you've been doing hair for 25 years or you've been doing hair for, 2 weeks or something like that, you're always going to run into troubles and problems, especially when you're lifting and dealing with a very stubborn red undertone. So I hope that this kind of shares a little bit about what I would do. Yes, it took 8 hours from start to finish for me to do Kat's hair. It was a really long time. But she had amazing attitude. I kept my attitude just really positive because I knew I was going to have her walk out the door with something towards what she wanted. It wasn't going to be exactly what she wanted because we wanted to make sure we weren't melting her hair off in the process of lightening and trying to get that brassy tone out. But she walked out of the salon with a beautiful color that was much more complimentary for her skin tone. So I hope this helps to kind of share what I did. Even when I run into problems, there's always a way to go back and solve it and figure out what's not working and what is working, especially when you have those extremely stubborn brassy undertones, because ain't nobody got time for that. So I will see you guys in my next video. Please, if you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Ask any questions you guys want, or if you guys want to shoot me an email, it is alexismay@gmail.com. It will be linked down below in my how to get in contact with me of all of my links and everything. And follow me on Instagram if you guys want to see hair stuff that I do. I always post before and after pictures on there if you guys want to check them out. And I always list the formula of what color that I've done down below in the description box. So if you guys are wondering exactly what color formula I did, check it out down there. It is listed so that you guys can see what I did. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.